Referencing the Oracle documentation. Now this subject, let it be known right at the outset, is not covered on any of your Oracle certification exams. However, I'm in the name of giving you a well-rounded education in Oracle SQL, I wanted to devote some time in teaching you how to most efficiently look up answers to the many questions that I know you have regarding Oracle SQL and even Oracle DBA work in general. We're going to frame this discussion with understanding why the Oracle documentation is so important in terms of Oracle licensing. The bottom line is Oracle makes its documentation library available for free, but as far as ongoing official support is concerned, your company's going to have to shell out the moolah. A lot of people misunderstand how software licensing works, so we're going to start with that. We're going to spend the majority of our time, though, in learning how to navigate the Oracle documentation. I'll show you how to bring the files offline, some of the really go-to core documents that you should definitely spend time studying. While you won't be tested on the documentation specifically, you'll absolutely want to refer to the documentation for broader and deeper coverage of subject areas that are covered on all Oracle exams. We're going to complete this nugget with some tips on some quality Oracle reference websites. These are all sites that I have vetted myself and I happen to derive great professional and personal benefit from. So I figure why not share that knowledge? Let's get started. The high cost of licensing. There are some folks in the world, generally these folks like to pirate software, where they say knowledge is free. I couldn't disagree with this statement more enthusiastically, chiefly because I help develop software and sales of that software feed my family and keep me going. That having been said, licensing in an enterprise context can get very expensive indeed. Now, if you're a newcomer to information technology, and in particular a newcomer to Oracle database, you're watching my Nugget videos and you've probably downloaded the Oracle software from the Oracle Technology Network website. We're going to go out and visit that momentarily. The question comes up, how can Oracle make any money if they're allowing people to download the database software for free? And you actually can. You can download any edition of Oracle Database 11G, from the free Express edition all the way up to the Enterprise edition. Well, the answer to that question is twofold. Oracle itself is not open source software. Let it be known. It's proprietary, closed sourced software. And the idea is Oracle lets you download fully functional, non-expiring software for you to evaluate and kick the tires and test. However, if you plan on installing Oracle Database in a production environment where you're actually using the database in business, then you're legally bound by the terms of the license agreement that you accept before you download the software to pay Oracle what they deserve, their licensing fees. And licensing in an enterprise IT context can get pretty complicated pretty quickly. What you're seeing on the screen now, I have 3 computers broken out by role. We have the client computer that's chances are running a desktop OS like Windows 7. Then on the other side of the equation, we have a server that will be hosting not only the core OS, which could be something that is free like Linux, or it could be something like Microsoft Windows Server 2008 that does indeed involve its own licensing costs. Regardless, here's the basic guidelines, or the basic schema, if you don't mind my use of that word, on how licensing works with Oracle. Although you can download the software for free, if you're going to use it in production, you need to pay per processor. Now, the way the processor works, it's not per core, it's per physical chip. So you see my sample Oracle server here is 2 processors, but each processor is quad core, which, as you know, quad core means that effectively each processor die, or each processor chip, contains the processing power of 4 separate CPUs. You see what I'm saying? Fortunately, we're not paying for 8 cores here. We're instead paying for 2 processor licenses on this particular box. On the client side, for each user who will be accessing Oracle Server, Oracle sells licenses called Named User Plus. So you work it out with your Oracle sales representative based on how many client connections you expect at any given time, what your future growth needs are, etc. So to answer the question, how does Oracle make its money? It makes it through the server license, which is processor based, as well as client access licenses, or CALs. Now, another element is that of support. I mentioned that Oracle makes its documentation publicly and freely available. That's true. However, Oracle keeps the really good stuff like its knowledge base, its downloadable patches, which any IT manager worth his or her salt is going to have a patch strategy to keep their software up to date as bugs are squashed, security vulnerabilities are addressed, and so forth. The knowledge base, as you know, is a database itself of problems and solutions, and also the ability to ring up Oracle and open up support tickets with them. All of that is kept behind what's called a paywall. It's a subscription-based support system, the details of which we don't need to worry about, but I just want to let you know you're going to have a very hard time downloading Oracle patch code or accessing a lot of their in-depth troubleshooting documentation unless you have a My Oracle support agreement with Oracle. And yes, that's going to cost money. That's about it for Oracle. I guess I'll just throw this as a value add. Many client-server systems, application systems, are multi-tier. Oracle itself has made a sub-business out of acquiring other application server technologies, JD Edwards, PeopleSoft, etc. These run on separate boxes and provide various services to users. PeopleSoft, for instance, is a human resources management application. Now, those application servers store all of their data and metadata in, you guessed it, an Oracle database on the back end of this N-tier client-server model. If you purchase one or more of the Oracle application server products, you're again going to have to pay for the server license as well as user access licenses for those. That, I think, gives you the wide spectrum outlay for Oracle. It's not an inexpensive process. Of course, the benefit is you're getting what many consider to be the most highly performing and powerful relational database management system in the world. To complete this, we have to also take into consideration the operating system on which Oracle is installed. If we have Windows 7 running on our client desktops, you're going to be paying Microsoft for those client access licenses. If your Oracle server and or your Oracle application servers are running Windows or some other closed source proprietary operating system, we have server licenses there to consider as well. Some folks who really love Oracle also love open source technologies. Oracle itself has a distribution of Linux. It's called, no surprise here I think, Oracle Linux. It's based on the Red Hat Enterprise Linux kernel and is considered really a direct competitor to RHEL. Oracle Linux has in its court the fact that it's been pre-certified and optimized for installation of Oracle products. Again, you can download Oracle Linux for free and install it and even use it in a production environment. However, if you want to have access to patch or update code, knowledge base stuff, or any kind of support from Oracle itself, you'll have to pay for the Linux network, the Unbreakable Linux Network support package. That's just how it goes. All of this is preaching to the choir to those of you who currently work as an IT manager. You're more than familiar with how software licensing works. I guess the final point I mentioned is that when we buy software licenses, we're not paying for the software itself. That is, we don't own a copy of Oracle Database Server. We don't own a copy of even the host operating system, Windows 7. When we buy a software license, what we're actually purchasing is the right to use that software. The intellectual property and the code itself always is retained by the software vendor. In this demonstration, we're going to go out onto the web and I'll show you the major Oracle and third-party useful websites. I believe I mentioned this in our introductory nugget of this series when I showed you the Oracle University, the certification and training area of Oracle.com, and I don't remember if I advised you this, but if not, let me advise you now, and if I have, I think repetition is just fine. You'll want to create a free Oracle Technology Network user ID as soon as possible. There's no obligation, there's no money that changes hands. It's oracle.com/tech network. As you see, I've logged in here. And the reason for this is, although, as I mentioned earlier, you can download the fully functional Oracle database software for free, you have to A, accept the OTN license agreement, and B, be signed in with your OTN user account in order to do that. So you see I'm at the Oracle database software downloads page where it enables us to download the Oracle database software. We can also download the client software as well. And it tells us here by way of announcement, this is kind of an old announcement, that patch set 11.202 for Linux is now available at the support site, My Oracle Support, at support.oracle.com, and it tells us a login to My Oracle Support is required. So this is a reiteration of what I mentioned earlier, that in order to download patches or get formal support from Oracle, you have to have a support contract. I also want you to see, this is a commonly confused point, what's the difference between Oracle Database 11g Release 2 and Release 1? Basically, releases are ways for a first-party technology vendor to put out significant updates to the software without revising the major version. In most cases, a release will not involve your having to do anything with your licensing. That's the main advantage or convenience of the release system. If you're a Windows systems administrator, you're doubtless aware of Windows Server 2008 RTM, or Release to Manufacturing, the original release, and then the later Windows Server 2008 R2, or Release 2. It's the same idea. I would recommend, if you're starting with learning Oracle, download the Release 2, take advantage of all of its latest bug fixes without having to have a support contract. And I'll be focusing, actually I have been focusing and will continue to focus in all of my training on Release 2, which is the latest release of Oracle Database as of this recording in 2011, late 2011 actually. Just to have a look at it, the My Oracle Support website looks like this, and there's really not much you can do here other than learn about how the site works. You have to sign in and go behind the paywall to get to your support tickets, to be able to browse the knowledge base, to download patch code, etc. Oracle has a subsite called Pricing and Licensing, as you see here, and then within that page there's a subpage called Price Lists, where if you're interested in, you can look at prices depending upon where you are in the world for not only Oracle database software but all of their products, of which they have a lot, as you can see here. Oracle Database is just one of many. Another page you might want to check out in their technology subsection is their Oracle Linux homepage. Some folks who are interested in investigating Oracle for their company wonder, does Oracle run better on Linux? All of that is debatable. In my experience, hardcore Linux people can't be convinced that any other host operating system other than Linux is the optimal choice. I take a more agnostic view and see pros and cons in all of the major operating system platforms. That having been said, the two Linux distributions that have been officially certified thus far are Red Hat Enterprise Linux and also Oracle's own Linux, which, as you know, is just about the same thing as Red Hat's, same kernel. Frankly, my favorite distribution of Linux is Ubuntu Linux, which is poo-pooed in business, I think a little bit unfairly, and even more unfairly, I think, Oracle just will not certify it for installation. That is to say, they won't support you if they learn that you're running Oracle in business on Ubuntu. So go figure. Now then, let's get to the centerpiece of our discussion. How do we get to the documents? Of course, Google or Bing, whatever your favorite search engine, is your friend. You can essentially Google any Oracle-related subject and find appropriate pages and articles within the Oracle documentation corpus. If you go to docs.oracle.com, this takes you to the page you're looking at now. This is the root page of the Oracle documentation index. And as you see, it's broken out by sections. These are HTML bookmarks that take you further down the page. Their flagship product is their database, so that's obviously where we're going to stay. And you see the very first clickable link takes us to Oracle Database 11g Release 2. I'm going to give that a click, and that will take us to a subpage where we can download the entire document library with one click. It looks like it's 408 megabytes, which in today's 21st century high bandwidth world is really insignificant. You could easily store that on your smartphone or your e-reader, as we'll talk about in more detail in just a moment. For now, I'll click the View Library link, and this is where I tend to go. I do like to download core books and re-download them every 6 months or every year to try to keep them up to date. But as long as I have an internet connection, I'm a big fan of the Oracle Database documentation library, again for Release 2, the most recent version, because it's current, number one, and number two, it's really easy to navigate. Now then, I want you to see that this is a split view, pretty traditional. The search engine works really, really well. And then we have, depending upon what we're looking at, this is the root of the Oracle Database doc library, so it's broken into different tasks. You see that the page here, depending upon upon our audience, whether we're already a database administrator and we just need the essentials to get up and running quickly. If we're an application developer, there are these so-called 2-day guides, which are not for beginners. They're quick learn guides for folks who already have experience in those subject areas. If you are brand new to Oracle, we have a glossary, a new features guide, a standard README. But I think the centerpiece of all their documentation, at least the books that I turn to the most myself, are these, the supporting documentation, especially the Concepts Guide. If you were to begin with a single book, I would recommend you go for Concepts. And I consider these documentation books to be a best kept secret of Oracle. I mean, they are just as good as most third-party books that you can buy through Amazon or your bricks and mortar store. It's amazing to me that such quality is available for free. You notice that the links here give us HTML pages where we can stay online, and or we can download an Adobe Acrobat portable document format PDF file as well. I'm going to go into Concepts here, and again we see the navigation changing depending upon which document we're looking at, and in the upper right we have links to the documentation homepage, the book list, the master index. Either of these is really good. I like the book list. This is a page that you should be familiar with because, again, using simple HTML bookmarks, you can use these abbreviations, and believe me, you'll become quite familiar with these acronyms and abbreviations as you go along. Let's go to SQL, for instance, and that'll take you down through all of these books, dozens and dozens and dozens of books. And for our purposes, for this exam, you absolutely want to take a look at these, especially the SQL language reference and SQL language quick reference. Again, we can jump to the appropriate page by clicking Contents, and it takes you in. I also want you to see, friends, and this again is a best kept secret, in the upper right corner under this navigation heading, we can download whatever our current book is, either as PDF as previously seen, MOBI format, or my favorite ebook format, EPUB. EPUB is an industry standard that you can pretty much get on any smartphone nowadays. Any mobile OS worth its salt will allow you to either read EPUBs out of hand, like on the iPhone or iPad. You can use the Apple iBooks application, or you can purchase or even download for free a free app that enables you to read EPUB. So keep in mind that you can take any of these documents offline. Now let's go into a particular book, and like I said, they're really nicely written. They're easy to understand. They have great line art, great illustrations, and you can find answers to any questions you could possibly want. Like, let me look up primary key here in the search engine, and we come back with straight definitions, and then concepts are generally after your definitions and your search relevancy. Note that you can search just the current versions documentation or the entire website. If you go to the concepts book, that's where you're going to get the most meat most of the time. So here we're discussing the primary key constraint, which we've already learned about, giving us examples, sample code, and so forth. Finally, you'll note under Quick Lookup, you have common links again to the database library, to the glossary, to the book list. Data Dictionary gives you nice supplemental information. We learned about the Data Dictionary thus far, and you really can't go wrong. In my opinion, of all my experience in IT to date, including some of the biggies like Apple and Microsoft, my favorite all-time documentation library is Oracle's. It's just wonderful. I can't speak highly enough about it, actually. Now let's turn our attention to some third-party sites that I think are worthwhile. This is dba-oracle.com. It's the site of an Oracle consultancy called Burleson Consulting, and full disclosure, I have no connection with this company at all. I'm not advocating that you hire them to give you training or support or consulting or anything. I know nothing about them other than their articles are really well written and they have high search engine relevancy. Almost guaranteed that if you have an Oracle question, you'll see one or more links to a dba-oracle.com page. Now this is their Oracle news page. I recommend you hit up any dba-oracle.com page, and then on the left you can get to Oracle tips, Oracle tuning, depending upon what you're interested in, and so forth. This is simply a breaking news page, which you notice helpfully really simple syndication or RSS link to where you could subscribe to these as these articles come online. Another important Oracle site you should be aware of is orana.info. This is called the Oracle News Aggregator, and again, it's extremely current. I mean, I'm recording this particular nugget on August 7th, and this whole page includes news items posted on this date dealing with anything that has to do with Oracle technologies. It's an aggregator to blog posts, press releases, news items, etc. Another site you should be aware of is orafac.com, ORAFAQ.com. It's a wiki site, as you can see here. My understanding is that many Oracle employees post content to this. I'm looking at a page in the wiki dealing with Oracle licensing, and it really goes into it on the server side, the processor licensing, the named user licensing, and really goes into a great degree of depth. There's almost an irreverent tone here that I think is really nice. I've mentioned the ss64.com site before. It's nice because in its Oracle section, for instance, which I'll quickly jump over to, we have an A to Z index of Oracle SQL commands, data dictionary views, all that, and its navigation in general is pretty cool. It's pretty easy to navigate. But this page is ss64.com/links. It's a link to Oracle websites and books, and these are really, really nice. Let's take a look at these. There's OraFac again. We have script repositories, a link to the Oracle documentation, documentation search engine, Oracle Technology Network, security alerts. That's definitely important for working DBAs. Ask Tom is an extraordinarily popular Oracle-related site. This man named Tom Kite, who's an Oracle employee and definitely a guru, asktom.oracle.com. And what this is, again, very fresh, very relevant, very volatile. As you see here, we have a list of recent question and answers here, and you see that some of these updates are very, very short. Essentially, this is a free, there's no cost to it, archive of questions and answers where folks can write to this guy Tom Kite and he provides answers, and then folks can review, make comments, and it turns into be a really nice discussion. Definitely a site that every Oracle administrator should be aware of. Finally, I'll point you to oraclebase.com. It's oracle-base.com. Lot going on here, not just for the current version of Oracle, but a few versions back. There are subsections on PLSQL and SQL, really informative, in-depth articles to which we can subscribe via RSS again. Script repository, discussion forums, blogs, certification info. This is really a nice overall portal for keeping up to date with Oracle Database. Well, there you go. I think that the sites I've given you thus far ought to prepare you extremely well for building a solid foundation in Oracle. Referencing the Oracle documentation review. The purpose of this value-added nugget was to get you grounded in the chief first and third-party sources for gaining free knowledge about the Oracle Database platform, and of course by extension to learn more about Oracle SQL. You now know how Oracle licensing works, at least from the bird's eye perspective. You know some of the factors that are involved, and then barring a full membership to the My Oracle Support website, you now know how to navigate the Oracle documentation with efficiency, and you have a great head start on the major Oracle reference sites available on the internet. I hope that this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.